Good afternoon, Jeff Raspy here with you on 90.5, the Night Brookdale Public Radio. And it is a pleasure to welcome Joshua Henry to our airwaves. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Jeff, nice to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And we've actually welcomed you to the airwaves, I guess, a couple of months ago, because we started playing Hold Me from your brand new EP. Guarantee, which has just come out finally, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Just dropped on the 4th, March 4th, whenever you're listening to this. So excited. Thank you for playing that. Hold Me was my first release track, and I'm super excited, super proud of it.
Cool, yeah. And now that the EP is out, I've had a chance to listen to the rest of it, and there's a lot in it that I may want to touch on while we talk. For what is it, 5 songs?
Four songs.
So it's a relatively short EP. And I guess the first question, or the first thing we should point out, is that, as evidenced by your bio, and for anybody who's watching this versus listening to this, they can see you have 8 posters behind you of your Broadway CV, let's say. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk to you about was, first of all, would you have been able to do the EP had the pandemic not started about a year ago? Because my guess is that you probably were supposed to be on stage somewhere, right?
That's a great question. You know what? Not like this. I mean, it came out. I really don't know. I mean, music has always been my first love. And so I would hope that it would have come out, in this way that I'm super proud of. But yeah, I mean, it could not have happened it's hard to say better, because it was born out of such a hard time. But yeah, I don't think that it would have been this satisfying, this gratifying without things stopping, without the opportunity to, if I had the opportunity to go on stage, yeah, I don't think it would have come out like this. I needed that moment to really reassess, like I think we all did, but as an artist, just see what was the most important thing. What did I really want to put all my energy towards? And that was music. The desire has been there for a very long time, but I've been on stage for and doing film and TV, which I also really love, but it was a great time to just refocus and really just put all of my effort when I don't have to do something 8 times a week on stage, 8 nights a week, 6 nights a week. Yeah.
And 2 matinees.
Yeah.
So now were you scheduled to actually be on stage for last year?
You know what? Last year so at the end of 2019, I just finished doing a run of a show called The Wrong Man. And, there was rumors of it continuing for the next year. I was supposed to be doing a show called C for Apple Plus. I was supposed to be doing a movie called Tick, Tick, Boom, which thankfully we were able to do towards the end of last year. So all of that got delayed. But those are the things that take 2 months, 3 months sometimes to get going. If you're in a run, it could take, if you're lucky, 6 months.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I thankfully those things that got pushed back, I still got to do them, but long enough so that I could focus on the music.
Cool. I guess.
Well, yeah,
I mean, on one hand, you lost a job, I guess, but on the other hand, you got to finish this.
That's just the beauty of life. It's like I thought I was losing something, but I was really gaining what I was the most passionate about, an opportunity to focus my effort on that. And so it took, in 2020, it was a time for me to really reframe a lot of what was happening with me emotionally and as an artist and in the world, and just not thinking about it as just doom and gloom, although it felt like it.
Yeah.
It was a time to plant seeds for me.
And then on top of it all, didn't you have a kid?
Yeah. So I have many things. My son Samson, he turns 3 in a couple days. So
Okay.
yeah, he was. I got to see him basically from 2 years old to 3 year old to 3 grow up, learn like speak and senses and potty train, and while I was doing the music. So when he would go away for like take a 90-minute nap, I'd be like, all right, and then I would
Yeah.
just start writing and just furiously, messing around on my keyboard and guitar. And so
Yeah,
yeah,
which
that was
is funny. A lot of the musicians that I'm friends with and haven't spoken to on the air or have talked to like this, the ones who have kids, their bright side has been that they got to spend whatever it's been 10, 11, 12, and whatever it's going to end up being 18, 24 months with their kids, which if they were on tour, they would have lost at least 2/3 of that.
100%. I mean, yeah, that's big, and that's just part of our lives that we sort of accept
Yeah.
because and our kids grow up with that understanding that daddy and mommy move differently than a lot of folks. But look, I got to give him a bath like almost every night for a year. Have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with him,
Yep.
and that's something. I mean, who knows moving forward if I'll be able to do that. But I'll never take those moments back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny that, yes, kind of everybody I know who, should have been on tour, should have been on stage, all those things that they couldn't do for a year plus now. And that's kind of the silver lining they're taking, is that, and again, it's when you sign up to be a touring musician, you admit I'm going to miss a lot of moments.
Yeah, I might miss a birthday. I might miss. The cool thing though, Jeff, is that like I was able to really take that moment in with my son, and he inspired a song. That's not on this EP, but
Oh,
I got to think about him as I was in my process, and there were moments of frustration and where I was feeling just fragile, and which was new for me. And thinking about my son helped me to be courageous in my writing. So that was really cool.
excellent. So does that mean that there's more music to come? Perhaps
Oh yeah,
sooner than later, since all the pretty much every stage is still shut down.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely music in the can right now that I'm waiting for the right time to release. It'll be before the end of this year for
Cool.
sure. So yeah, I'm excited that there's one track that my son is actually on, um, and I'm excited for folks to hear that.
Cool. So we've mentioned the fact that you've been on Broadway. You've been in. I would I be incorrect in saying that your most notable stage role so far has been in the touring company of Hamilton?
Um, I would say between that and yeah, that and maybe Carousel that I did on
Okay.
Broadway.
Yeah,
But yeah,
the recent revival, right?
yes, in 2018, yeah, it was. So starting with Hamilton, I mean, that was just the biggest. It is the biggest show that I've ever seen in my 16-year career. But looking back,
It's pretty much the biggest show anyone's seen.
period.
Full stop.
So so doing that was incredible because I did that for a year and a half between the Chicago
Wow.
company and the first national tour. Never got sick of it once, Jeff. I love the music so much, and it really inspired me to want to create my own thing, which I'd been doing over the years. But Lin-Manuel Miranda, who of course is the composer, is a good friend, and he, you know, it's been cool to stay close to him and his creative process. He creates like this. There's a song in Hamilton that says non-stop. So if he's in a car, he's creating. If he's between takes, when we filmed Tick Tick Boom recently, he was creating something on his phone. And so for me, just being around that type of energy is it's everything that I want. So, being around Hamilton helped me to just continue to water my creative plants.
Yeah, and even though, like we said, it's 8 shows a week or whatever, um, there is, like being a touring musician, there's a fair amount of downtime
Yep.
where you can work on stuff like that.
Yeah. You know, you have your days before you have to get to the, you know, the show would be around like
Get
7 o'clock or
get
something
into
like
that
that.
mind. Yeah.
But yeah, in the days, you know, I remember just spending days in LA just with me and my guitar. I would go for a walk, come back, and I would just write music for hours. And on my day off on Mondays, it was just a ritual, you know. And that's what I remember most from that experience. Is a time on stage for sure, but like being being able to just be by myself and create. Sometimes I created like 4 songs in one day, some that aren't finished. But one song that I started when I was out there is called "Hold Me," and that's and I didn't finish that song until this past year.
Yeah.
So you know, it's like this time, you never know. It's just really great to have planted seeds. You know, whether that's a phrase of music here, a paragraph, or a beat here, and then years later, it's like the moment hits you, and it feels it could not have been more right.
Hold me, just don't hold me back. Hold me, just don't hold. I can't sing underwater, holding my breath. All these words in my heart can't go unsaid. Big dreams in your love, big dreams in your love. Don't make me choose between. I need you right here, need you right here. I need a guarantee. Hold me, just don't hold me back. Hold me, just don't hold me back. Hold me, just don't hold me back. Hold me, just don't hold. I know it sounds selfish. I know it ain't right. Now, but should your love share the spotlight? No, you know all my passions. You know the only way I fly. One hand holding yours, one hand to the sky. Hold me, just don't hold me back. Hold me, just don't hold me back. No. Hold me, just don't hold me back. Hey, hold me, just don't hold. Love, I cannot simplify. What I am can't compromise. At the crossroads, hoping that you'll hold me. Don't let go, don't let go. Hold me, just don't hold me back. Hold me, just don't. Yeah. Hold me, just don't hold me back. Yeah. Hold me, just don't hold me back. Yeah. Hold me, don't hold me back. Oh, hold me, just don't hold.
And one thing I wanted to say about Guarantee, the new EP, is that, and I mean no offense to any other stage performer, Broadway actor who has made an album. It is, and I mean this was a plus for me, is that it doesn't sound like a quote unquote typical Broadway actor's music sidebar kind of thing.
You know what? Very well. I first of all, I appreciate that so much. But I'm right there with you. I'll be honest, and I've said this many times, like listening to a lot of my, it sounds like a sidebar. It sounds like a lot of the time something that a lot of folks just want to be like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. There's nothing wrong with trying something. There's nothing wrong with that. But what was important to me was to surround myself with people in the music industry who have been doing this on a high level for a long time, and I didn't want to just put music out, just because I could sing or because I like music and listen to me sing on a record. That's something that me and my manager have been going back and forth for years, like, and he would encourage me just to be like, stay patient, like let this sound simmer. You're an amazing artist, but like stay in the world. I was writing with incredible writers like Ross Golan, Sebastian Cole, people who have been writing hits for years. And, for me, like the one thing that I like really pride myself on is that I'm music first. Before the stage, like I have been playing guitar for a really long time. I've been in bands in college and growing up in South Florida, playing in praise bands in churches and schools. And so the being an artist, that culture was something that I was familiar with, a recording artist. And it was something that I felt much, even I would say more comfortable in than stage.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I love the stage, you know what I mean? Like 100%, I love the stage, but talking about first love and what I was exposed to first was just being around musicians. I went to school at the University of Miami and was studying musical theater. But when I was done with that, by like 6 o'clock, my night hours were spent with the jazz folks, just like watching them shed from 8 o'clock till 3 in.the.morning, getting to sit in on just like playing on the piano with the drums. That was where I felt most alive.
Cool.
So,
because actually that was one of the other things I wanted to bring up was the impression I got was that your music, being a recording artist or a touring musician, was your first thing, and being on stage in musicals and whatnot sort of happened. Like, did you sort of back into being a stage actor?
I found musical theater in my last year of high school. I was doing a production of The Music Man, and I had a teacher basically encourage me to be like, hey, you can do this for a living. And I had no idea what she was talking about. I didn't know that you could make a living doing musicals. So she encouraged me to audition for the one college at the University of Miami that I auditioned for. I happened to get in. And once I got in, I knew, Jeff, that like, oh, I just want to be around the arts, acting, singing, and dancing. Like I could just, so, I thankfully came to New York, and after a little bit of time, got on a roll, getting role after role after role. And I love the community, and I love being inspired by amazing artists. But yes, in the back of my head, even on a 10-minute break, when I was rehearsing, I would have my guitar every single show, just playing, just riffing on ideas that I had, had in my mind. So it's one of those things where like your love is your bread and butter, and that becomes like the main squeeze. But like the first love was always like calling from deep down. So, this felt so natural to kind of get back to that first love.
Great. Now, so what happens when you have to start picking and choosing? Like, it's like, hey, Joshua, record's doing great. You got to go on tour. Well, fingers crossed that either of these things can happen again. You got to go on tour, or you get, Lin-Manuel Miranda's next blockbuster show.
Okay, well, because he's a friend and happens to be one of the most brilliant folks out there, that's a situation. But I will say this. If I put it's hard. But one thing I've done for over a decade very well, And I always want to do the thing that's the most challenging and the thing that's going to make me grow more. And I've never toured a record before. So if I had to, if the record is like banging and we're about to go on tour and there's an incredible musical, this is going to get a little bit more attention from me. It depends on what this thing is, but like this is definitely higher on the radar for me, because I don't want to just, thank God, like I've done Hamilton, Carousel, I've done many musicals in many different styles, and I've challenged myself a lot to just be a chameleon, on stage. And now I want to get to a place where I'm at the place where what's inside me, I want to perform without a mask and show people what's been the driving force, underneath these different characters. So that feels really good and really natural, and the next step in my progression as an artist.
That's an interesting point that it hadn't even occurred to me. As a stage actor, and that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to make a point of saying stage actor. You're an actor playing somebody else. What else is acting but being able to play somebody else? Mm-hmm. If you go out on tour for an album, you got to be you.
That's right. That's totally right. And for me, that's super exciting. It's super vulnerable.
Yeah.
I have to be, very honest, which I feel like I really was in this EP offering. It was all about the things that I'm passionate about. I'm an optimist, that's possible.
And believe me, I was going to say earlier today, I don't know why I hadn't done it before today, but earlier today I was scrolling through your Instagram page, and what hit me probably the most was your positivity. You are one of the most positive people I've now ever met.
Thank you.
and that's interesting, because you're in a profession, or you could say two professions now, where rejection and the subsequent depression, questioning your being, all of that kind of stuff kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, that's one reason so many people write songs is to get out of the depression that that being brings on.
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it right. I mean, it's this field, for taking just entertainment, is one that is filled with a lot of despair and a lot of rejection and a lot of just no's and, just passing you by.
Yeah.
And I've been really fortunate in my career, through what I say, I'm like a lot of grace and a lot of growth and a lot of grind, to have made a career for myself. But there have been moments like last year where the rug just gets pulled out, and I always think, well, what is the thing that fuels me, that is my base, without a stage, without a record, without a kid, without a wife, without shows, without an audience. And that's a question that I've been asking myself for a long time. And for me, that is like hope. That is a faith. That for me, that's God, love, a belief that there is something greater on the other side of this valley. If you don't have that, it doesn't have to be, the synonyms that I just gave, but like, for me, that's what keeps me positive. I know that everything that I have, gone through, 2020 included, is for my benefit, to make me better. That's something that I just firmly believe. And what's cool about life is you sometimes you got to take detours. Things pause for a little bit. Look at Broadway, for instance, has been paused for over a year now, but there's some incredible changes that we needed to make in terms of, diversity, not just on stage, but off stage. We need to make things fairer for the BIPOC community, and that is something that needed to happen. And that was at a downtime, but that's, you can look at it as like, oh, wow, like this is, gloom and doom, despair, or this is an amazing opportunity, for better seeds to be planted. It's fertile ground, thank you for saying that. That's something that I try to be as positive more often than not. And for people to hear that through my music, and see who I am, both on the gram and in my music, makes me feel good. It's like a nice aligning, and I'm not, putting on any masks now. It's this is Joshua, and that's what feels the most gratifying about releasing music now.
Jeff Raspy here with Joshua Henry, who's got a brand new EP, Guarantee, just came out first Friday of March. That is a precursor to hopefully an album before the end of the year, full album.
Yeah.
And I did want to bring up the fact that, I don't know if you know this, we are on the Jersey Shore because we're doing this interview virtually. 90.5 The Night is on the Jersey Shore. And your stage career actually has a connection to New Jersey, I read, right?
Jam. Yes. Yeah. I mean, my first professional job outside of school was in, I believe it's Milburn, New Jersey, and at the Paper Mill Playhouse.
Indeed.
Where I
legendary theater here in New Jersey. Yes.
Oh yeah. If you have, please get out there when you can. Hopefully by this fall, they'll have some productions going there. But yeah, my first job was there doing Godspell. I played Judas in the musical Godspell by Stephen Schwartz. And that was incredible. I remember we were running for about 6 weeks, and I just come from the University of Miami. And folks were like,
wow.
Did you get a job in New York?
You came from Miami and got dropped in the middle of New Jersey. Nice.
It was really, which I loved. And a lot of folks were like, so you got a new job in New York? And I was like, I mean, pretty much. It was like 30 minutes away. But no, I loved it there. So yeah, I guess I have Jersey roots in some way. Back in 2006.
Yes, indeed. We've mentioned Miami. And did you spend most of your childhood in Miami? Because again, I read that you're actually from someplace that I think most people would never guess in a million years, right? Where you were born.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't know that I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in Canada. So,
which is about as far away from Miami as you can get.
It couldn't be more different. But yeah, I was raised
short of being in the Yukon territories or something, I guess.
Very different lifestyles. Very different. Miami is what I like about Miami is it's the sun, of course, and the beaches. It's slow pace, right? I feel like it's either like super partying people or retired folks.
Yeah, which has always just been very strange to me. That combination of people in one place.
It is. And growing up, it was fine. But I remember by the time I got to high school, I was like, oh, I felt so slow for me, and so getting to New York after coming from Miami just felt like, I don't know if you ever, just jumping on a treadmill that's your exact speed, and you're like, oh, okay, of course, yeah, feels right.
Yep.
Just that pulse of energy and inspiration and artists, and I love it.
So Godspell at the Paper Mill Playhouse is where it's all started. Which I think, weird sidebar, I don't know this for sure, but I think Godspell was definitely one of the first shows I ever saw.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good one to sort of introduce you to musical theater, because it's just fun. It's kind of light, good music, Yeah, that was I love that music, and I did that show with some incredible folks who are still great close friends to this day. People like Uzo Aduba, who's now just gone on to be a crazy star. Robin DeJesus, who I did In the Heights with, and I did the movie Tick Tick Boom with Lin-Manuel Miranda. So a lot of friendships from that show. And it was a really great first experience for me to be a professional coming outside of school.
So let's talk a bit more about Guarantee, the new EP from Joshua Henry. Had you been, how to say this? Had you been pushing to get it done and signed and released and stuff like that, or did some people come after you knowing your Broadway background?
Great question. So this is the first time I'm telling this, but like, this didn't just, the album came to fruition in 2020, but I've been signed to S Curve Records for like two and a half years now. So I've been working on songs for a very long time, and I have actually, I had a batch of songs that I brought in, in top of 2019, that the record label was like, we like this, but I think we can do better. And I was like, jam. So, I got into, talk about rejection, for someone who had such huge success, in Broadway, especially, that was a moment where I was like, I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful for that rejection, because I can be a student and I can grow into what I don't know. I really feel that, like, I've always felt that. And so what did I do? I started getting every podcast that I could find about songwriting. I started, following people, some of the incredible writers, even some from Florida that were now making it huge in the pop scene, people like Ali Temposi. And I was following them. I would just literally study them. And I just, as much as I could, I would just absorb that information. I'm a big, I'm a big, fan of just sticking yourself in the world and making sure that everywhere you look around, you can soak up what your dream is. Mm-hmm. So I set my homepage to a lot of music sites, and I got in the kitchen. And so, and then by 2020, I guess I had done enough writing, and the moment hit the writing, hit the preparation, hit the positivity, and it all was like, and it came together so fast. Started really getting with my producer nephew, who's phenomenal. He's worked with like Justin Bieber and Doja Cat and Michael Jackson. It's insane. But we were only working for about, I want to say 2.5 months of a back and forth, him in LA and me in New York. And then it came together. And then September 6th is when it last year is when it was done.
Nice. So did any of those rejected songs make the EP?
Wait, no, they didn't. None of them did. But you know what? I'm not done with them yet. That you take some ideas and, you might hear a rejected song from your label or from people, your manager, and they're like, so you're like, okay, well, what wasn't working? And you take that and you try to plug it into another idea.
Yeah, you could say, okay, what is any part of this okay? And then use that part somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. And they're like, the best part was the end. And you're like, okay, wait. So none of those songs made it on this EP. But like I said, like a song like Hold Me, I started writing like 2.5 years ago. So it's sometimes the moment hits right and you just complete the song, when the spirit leads.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things I found in listening to the 4 songs that made the Guarantee EP, was that, and like I said earlier, it doesn't sound like a Broadway person trying to make a pop or a rock record. And again, no disrespect to folks who've done that. I actually have a really good friend, is this guy Jeffrey Lesser, who's actually produced records for Kristen Chenoweth and folks like that. But this is not that kind of thing. Like Guarantee is not that kind of thing, and it's a little hard to pinpoint too, because there is pop, there is rock, there's funk, there's soul, there's a little bit of hip hop. which I first of all was a lot to cram into 4 songs on one EP, and the way you described being there already is a good thing. They didn't sign you whatever it was 2 years ago or whatever, and say, give us a record. It was a bit of, okay, what do you got? That's okay, but it's not good enough.
Totally. And I love them. I really love S Corp Records because the demos that originally got me in there, they really loved, right? But they were really cool about saying, we love who you are as an artist. We're not trying to put you in a box, which is like the biggest thing about being a recording artist. You have to know who you are, and then you have to also be able to spread your wings if that's what you want to do.
Right.
For me, it was important.
Simultaneously with the marketing department, who needs like something very specific about how do we describe this person? How do we sell this band?
How do we sell the band? How do we get them to radio? How do we get them on these playlists? And, all those things are things that I didn't really, things that I have learned to consider, but as icing on the cake. It was important for me, and S Corp really helped me with the idea that be exactly who you are, and take some time and figure out the music highway that you want, lane that you want to be on the music highway. And you know what? You can switch gears in your little car. You can go from, funk to soul to R&B to, which is what I feel like I did in Guarantee. But I'm still, I
change
still
lanes.
You can. But, to their credit, they didn't, they were like, first of all, pick whatever car you want. Second of all, if you wanted the 405 or I-95, go ahead and choose. And then you do what you want to do. So I felt really supported by them. And they're
so you picked the New Jersey Turnpike where you don't even have to signal what direction you're going.
It's the best because that, what, when you drive like that, then it's like people get out of your way. You're like, what's he doing? And that's the kind of artist that I want to be. Someone that whenever I come out with music and be like, oh, what's he doing now? So that's exciting for me. I love artists like Childish Gambino or Janelle Monáe, Anderson .Paak, who are, they're not afraid to live and breathe music in big colors, and I certainly, when I was working with my producer nephew for Guarantee, he encouraged me because he saw how big my personality and my instrument was, to be all of those things. That, there were times when I was writing like Guarantee, the song, and I was singing that chorus, and after the second or third time around, I still had so much more to say. So the only style that made sense was hip hop. Like I had to rap, and I grew up, in Miami, just listening to, the Roots and Common and Nas, just growing up, and so that made perfect sense because that was already in me. That's who I was. So that it organically worked out like that. And thanks to nephew's encouragement, it was so great working with him. Yeah.
So how long were you actually in Winnipeg?
Oh, my parents moved there, had me there, and my brother and sister. And when I was 3, we moved down to Miami. So it wasn't like I would, I can.
You didn't play hockey?
I didn't. I didn't. I've since been back a couple times to Montreal and to Toronto to film some things, and so that's been cool. But I would love to just like visit for like a month.
Yeah.
And just hop around. I've been to Vancouver on filming projects and things like that. But yeah.
So okay, so basically your music education happened in Miami, because that's where I was like, depending on how long you'd been in Winnipeg, your music education, for lack of a better description, would have been quite different than in Miami or almost anywhere south of the border, but especially a place like Miami. Yeah,
Jeff, like I grew up listening to reggae. My parents were from Jamaica.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So reggae was big.
Sure.
From Toots and the Maytals to Bob Marley to, Beres Hammond, and then hip hop was so big in the 90s in South Florida. So a banging driving beat was something that was like, ingrained in me. And then R&B was something, groups like, SWV, if you know them, like Week in the Knee.
Yeah.
They were at a school with my sister
Oh,
in
really?
Miami, like streets away from me. They were like, so between R&B and hip hop and reggae and, listening to, jazz and, there was really heavy, dense musical culture there.
Were you into show tunes?
Not at all. Not at all growing up. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't hear a show tune or one that I knew was a show tune until like my junior year in high school. So yeah, it would have been very different had I grown up anywhere but Miami. I mean, literally, I remember the street that I grew up in Miami. Next door neighbor was Jamaican. Across the street was Haitian. On the other side of my house, some Caucasian folks. I didn't know them really well, but it was such a melting pot. Not only in Miami, but at the University of Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go there, and the musicians that are there from
Oh,
Brazil,
yeah.
I mean, just everywhere. Some of those jam sessions late at night, I still remember at the University of Miami, where you're like, what are you playing? Like, what is that? I've never heard like someone from Germany, their version of hip hop or their version of R&B is different, than what I grew up with. But we know the same, it's wild. So yeah, I'm glad for that musical mashup education.
Cool. And that question was me leading to your choice of the one cover song on the EP.
Oh yeah.
Which I actually didn't realize until maybe the third or fourth time I listened to it. And it's that you cover an OJ song.
Hey, yeah. OJs, they just the staying power. They're still releasing music. Yeah. We're touring up until just before 2020.
Well, that's the funny that was kind of the weird way I figured it out, because I was looking up a bunch of your videos and stuff, and there's one that I will want to talk about in a minute, but that was when I discovered that Stand Up was an OJ song. So then I went looking for their version, a video of their version of it, and I found a live video from like 2 years ago of them singing it.
Like, are y'all still going? Yeah.
Oh. I was thinking I'd find like them on Soul Train or something, but no, it was like from some festival 2 years ago.
No, they haven't stopped. And when I heard that, the first version I actually heard was the demo for them before the OJs got it.
Wow.
So Sebastian Cole, who's an incredible writer who wrote that song, wrote that for them a couple years ago. And just that first lyric, turn off the TV to avoid the news. Oh, I'm in, right? Because that's we all struggle with being informed versus, the emotional toil of just being brought down by something crazy. And being inundated
nonstop with information,
totally,
quote unquote information sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so the idea of, despite all of that, the crazy things that are happening, the misinformation a lot of times, trying to do something to contribute to a better world, a better community, and for me, that's talking about growth, and that's something that I've done a lot on my social media platforms, just talk about the ways that the mindful actions that we take to contribute to growing, to measure our lives in growth as opposed to like a destination. And so that song Stand Up made me think about, well, how am I contributing, and just to make sure that I'm continuing to always remember that, and stand up for something.
So did you hear the demo before knowing it was an OJ song, or had you heard the OJs?
No, I just heard the demo first. And then I was like, yo, this song's amazing. They were like, yo, the OJs did it. And I was like, what the hell? OJ's like, you used to be my girl. Them OJs? So then I listened to their version, which is so cool. And then I was like, well, obviously I can't do that version, but I want to do something that feels me, feels, you know, soulful, R&B, hard hitting, and meaningful. And Nephew and I just came together with this incredible, driving, pulsing, cool beat that is so me, and says the words, has the meaning, but also is my vibe. So
Yeah, that was actually one of the reasons why it didn't immediately occur to me that that the OJs had done the song, because you do it differently than even when I didn't know it was an OJ's song. It's not what I would have imagined an OJ's song sounding like.
yeah, it's a little different. It's not your mama's OJ's. Yeah.
It's Joshua Henry. Joshua Henry is our guest here on 90.5 The Night Today. The brand new EP Guarantee is out. Came out the first Friday of March. Do you know offhand what your next move is once we're allowed to move? Like, do you have a show lined up? Do you have, like, you mentioned C on Apple Plus
Yes.
earlier,
yeah.
like, so that got put on pause?
We actually, towards the last, literally November and December, I was able to film that. That, and also Tick Tick Boom. So yeah, C for Apple Plus. I play the character Jalamaro, who we're in our second season now. And so folks can catch me on that. I think that's going to debut sometime this summer.
Okay.
But Tick Tick Boom is the movie that Lin-Manuel Miranda directed. It's me, Alexander Shipp, Robin DeJesus, Vanessa Hudgens, Andrew Garfield, and a host of other incredible folks. Telling the story of Jonathan Larson, who wrote Rent.
I was going to say, Tick Tick Boom was Broadway too, right?
Yeah. That particular show made it off Broadway. Didn't make it to Broadway, but yeah, it's definitely from a Broadway composer. So that's going to come out. I don't have a specific date for that, but probably later on this year as well. So this year's going to be, there's going to be music releases. There's going to be, some TV and some film releases. And then, if things go well, which they're looking to with the vaccine, we're trying to get out there and tour. If safely, we can do that. All signs are pointing towards that happening.
So you do plan on creating, putting a band together and taking this to the road.
I wish I could say I guarantee right now, but I definitely guarantee that I'll try to. Yeah,
so you can finally check that tick box off on your list of things, touring in a band.
Totally. Yeah. I just want to go around and spread this music around. When I was doing Hamilton, in San Francisco, I did the Venetian Room there. When I was in Hamilton in Chicago, I did Shuba's there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. So they put Hamilton in a place like Shuba's. Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, you played.
I played. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Hamilton was at the time the Private Bank Theater around State Street. But even when I was in these musicals, like, I was always getting away on my day off to much to my. It's not really safe to just be singing 8 times a week, but it meant that much to me to be honing those artist muscles,
wow,
that were outside.
So on your one day off of 8 shows a week, you would go sing again.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I did, these big shows in San Francisco and in Chicago, and, because I had to. It was me. Like, it's a kind of reflection of me at the University of Miami in school. I was doing these productions, studying music, dance, and acting. But after that was done, like at night, I would go and hang out with the jazz folks and shed and practice, because that was the thing that was home for me. So, this moment is no different. Film, TV happening, maybe some Broadway next year, but, also
actually, you would know. Broadway's officially closed for 21.
No,
Okay.
no. It's not official. I think you'll hear something probably as of like May, whether you'll see a show at the end of this year.
Mm.
Um, I'm fairly certain. I can't speak. I'm not a authority on this, but I do know these Broadway streets.
Yeah.
Um, that next spring they'll definitely
Yeah.
there'll be shows here. Again, I can't guarantee that, but that's what it's looking like.
Yeah. And I'm to any venue, whether it's a little corner bar that does cover bands to some of the legendary venues of every town and city in America to big theaters on Broadway. Fingers crossed that more survive than have to close during these whatever 12, 18, 24 months. It's, I mean, they've all just had such I mean, you said it earlier, when the rug gets pulled out from under you, and we're all part of this world that you just thought people are always going to want to go to a bar and see a band.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? What could stop that? Well, now we know.
Now we know. It happens not that often, but and I don't think it's ever stopped in Broadway in the way that it has. But
Yeah.
I think what you just said, Jeff, is why I'm so excited to release this music right now. At a time when a lot of theaters that I've been in are shut down, regional theaters across, concert venues. It's like, how about just think about what's on the other side? Possible for me is one of my favorite tracks on this EP. Just thinking about tomorrow, is can take you out of the gloom of this moment. There's a lot we can learn from these moments, but gotta keep it hopeful for the outlook of the future. So
yeah, so fingers crossed that you get to do all of those things again.
Yeah.
and tour with a band for the first time. Joshua Henry here on 90.5 The Night. You can find Josh and his positivity at his Instagram page. Instagram.com/Joshua Henry official is the address. The new EP Guarantee is out on S Curve Records. I did want to there's a new video for Is It Guarantee?
Yeah.
Song where where the whole point is actually the avalanche of information and misinformation, right? That was pretty cool. I saw that this morning, and the images of death scrolling through your phone.
Yeah, the music video for Guarantee I just dropped, and yeah, the whole point of that track for me was, and especially the visual element, was what we believe is our guarantee. And for me, and so many people, it's like the battle with this. It's like, no matter what's going on, oh my gosh, that just crazy happened. I want to get to know, I'm so mad right now. I just want to go to my phone. And so, it's back to the really important questions. Like, what is the guarantee? Sometimes it's that, but I want to ask the question, like, is that really it? So, yeah, I hope people can, nod their heads along and, have fun, and also think about something.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Joshua Henry. It's been a pleasure to chat with you today, and look forward to hopefully seeing you in person sometime. As you might guess, we normally have people come in live to the radio station and sing a couple of songs live and have a chat like this, but we're not allowed to do that.
Well, maybe soon. Maybe,
Yes.
like I said, hopefully by the end of this year, more music's going to come out and we can actually do this in person. So I appreciate talking to you, Jeff.
Yeah, and, either alone or with a band, if you put one together, we'll get you a show in Asbury Park.
Hey, let's do it. Sounds great.
Don't forget, the new EP Guarantee is out. Instagram.com/Joshua Henry official is the place to keep up with Joshua and find out all the stuff he's doing. And like I said, I know I've said it 2 or 3 times, without question, one of the most positive people I've ever seen in person or on social media. And as we were saying a minute ago, especially if you like to spend a lot of time on social media, you need to find some positive folks in there to scroll by too.
I really appreciate that, John. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
Turn off the TV to avoid the news. Look up to heaven cause I'm so confused. Another child lost in the city. No place to go, even the finest schools. Oh, somebody told me dark days would come. I know that I can't be the only one that wants to know. If there's a heart out there, stand up, stand up. If there's a heart somewhere, show love, show love. Ooh, if there's a heart out there, stand up, stand up. If there's a heart somewhere, show love, show love. Love wants to know your name. Yeah. See, money makes the world go round, don't it? Yeah. But money brings the morals down, don't it? Yeah. Well, there's some things money can't buy. Even if you spend every dollar in the world on it. Somebody told me there'd be days like this. And I can't be the only one wondering. Whoa, whoa, oh, if there's a heart out there, stand up, stand up. If there's a heart somewhere, show love, show love. Ooh, if there's a heart out there, stand up, stand up. If there's a heart somewhere, show love, show love. All over the world, I know we can make it better. We gotta try. I know we can make it better. Love is calling to us, to all of us. I know it starts with us. It starts. If there's a heart out there, stand up, stand up. If there's a heart somewhere, show love, show love. Oh, if there's a heart out there, stand up, stand up. If there's a heart somewhere, show love, show love. Love wants to know your name. Halos I paint on my forehead. Forget your pain, watch me instead. I shoot your bliss. I bleed the click like what I did. Keep your eyes down on me. Everything that you need, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Hey, hey, run away, you do you. You gon' come right back. Ooh, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Hey, hey, don't look up, just look down. They don't know what we found. They don't know. I'm your dopamine, open me, I'm here right now. I like what you said when you saw what I did. Daylight to the bed, I'ma ride your hip. Ow! Keep your eyes down on me. Everything that you need, I guarantee it. you miss these buys, these tries, these days of our lives. Throwbacks, flashback Fridays, you pray. Lord, let me get that. Let me get you caught up. Everything I bought up. Woo! Everything you can't afford. Double click this bliss. I know your wish list. Took the pic, fixed it to your every desire. Look at me, you admire. Check the blue check. These take you higher, higher. Nah, baby, don't run. Don't we have fun? Don't I show you what you have never done? I need your love. The kingdom come. I will be done. You like this one?